welcome back to the 135 lecture series. So I understand that you guys have been reading The Gladiator. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Roman Empire. So first we'll discuss the Roman Empire, and then we'll talk a little bit more specifically about gladiators and their role in the Roman Empire. So first, let's talk about the Roman Empire. And by empire, I mean one country that controls lots of other countries. So the Roman Empire existed about 2,000 years ago. And actually at that time, Rome controlled most of the world. So if you take a look at this map here, here's Rome, okay, here in Italy, and they controlled all of Western Europe, okay, all the way through here, all the way into the Middle East, including Syria, and even Northern Africa. All of this was controlled by Rome. So one emperor, one Roman emperor, ruled this huge amount of space. And being a Roman emperor was a pretty dangerous job because there's a lot of power. So quite often, the Roman emperors would be assassinated, or in other words, they would be murdered by somebody who wanted to come in and be the next Roman emperor. So if the Romans want your land, and they wanted everybody's land, they would come in and they would fight your people, and probably they would win. And what happened when the Romans won is they'd take your land, they would start making you pay taxes to Rome, and they would take a lot of people as slaves and then march them all the way back to Rome to be sold to wealthy people. So when wealthy people bought them, they would choose to do different things with them. They might have those slaves work in their house. They might have those slaves do heavy manual labor, such as breaking rocks to build more buildings, or they might train them to be gladiators. So a gladiator is a slave that is trained to fight. And they would fight in these large theaters where thousands of people would come to watch these fights. So gladiators, they would fight, three different things. They could fight criminals, they could fight other slaves or gladiators, or sometimes they even fought animals such as lions or bears. And people would watch this very bloody show. So you might be asking, why? Why did they have these gladiator battles? So there were two main reasons for these battles. One was actually for funerals. This was as a religious rite during a funeral, they would have a gladiator battle. The other reason was just for entertainment, or so that different political people could become more popular. So if you're a senator and you want people to like you, then what you can do is go ahead and host a gladiator fight in one of these huge theaters and go ahead and make it free so all of the poor Romans can come and watch. And this is a great, wonderful way to spend your Saturday or your Monday watching maybe a fight to the death. Now, they didn't always end in death. So what would happen when two humans were fighting, so not when the gladiators fought the animals, but if they were fighting another person, it would get to the point where there was clearly a winner, and the other person may not be dead. And the winner would go ahead and look to the senator, or whoever was the leader and whoever was hosting this fight, and he would look for a sign if he should go ahead and kill the loser or let the loser live. Now, as I mentioned before, oftentimes these senators or political leaders would have these gladiator battles as a way to become more popular with people. So what they would do is they would go ahead and look at the crowd and look for signs from the crowd about whether the crowd wants them to live or die. So if people wanted the gladiator who's winning to show mercy and let him live, then they would do things like wave their handkerchief, or they might actually do a thumbs down. And what thumbs down meant was, put down your sword. let him live. And this is where we first see the thumbs up, thumbs down sign. But what's interesting is that today, thumbs down is bad. But back then, thumbs down was kind of the good sign, right? Because it meant let him live. So if the senator or the leader here does a thumbs down, that actually means let the loser live. We want to see him fight another battle in the future. But if the crowd wants him to die, then they will go ahead and sign. They could do a thumbs in the middle or a thumbs up, saying that the loser should be killed. And as the loser here, you are supposed to die with honor. So what's supposed to happen is that the loser holds on to the leg of the winner, while the winner puts his sword into the loser's neck and kills him. And then the body will be dragged away, almost like an animal. And that is how the battle could end. And that winner is going to go on to fight more battles. Now, if the loser's life is spared, and by that I mean he's allowed to live, then he will also go on to fight more battles. Well, that's all the time we have today to talk about Roman history. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time for the 135 lecture series.